to be honest, the part that I liked the most that I didn't expect was the women in his life. So can you provide any just little glimpses into sort of his romantic relationships and how those ended up, I guess, moving the plot of Don the Beachcomber from where he started at a one venue in LA all the way to, sort of losing it all.
Yeah. His first two wives, especially, it just seems like it was a matter of convenience almost, or necessity, that he get married. His first wife, Sunny, she came in and really sort of helped him make Don the Beachcomber a success. He was a huge idea guy, but he couldn't always execute the business side of things. And Sunny, being a woman in the 1930s, she had a huge business acumen, I guess, but she was a woman in the 1930s. She couldn't really run a business, so it was sort of a perfect partnership for the two of them, because she could run his business and um, he could just be creative. And then, his wife Carla, he meets later in life. He's in Hawaii, and it almost feels like she's more part of, plays into the character that he's playing. He needs to have this wife who's somewhat exotic. She was from South America, and it seems like it was a loveless marriage. It seems like it was a marriage, she got to be Don the Beachcomber's wife, and he got to have this beautiful young woman as his wife, but they didn't really seem to be romantically involved at all. It was more for show, it seems like. And then Phoebe, he meets very late in his life, and it seems like that was really his one true love, that when he could finally just be happy. And when we sort of learned about these women, we kind of realized, like, Don's life could easily be categorized in these three chapters of kind of him sort of discovering himself and discovering who he was as a public figure, and then sort of just letting it all go and learning to be happy in the end, is kind of how I see it. I don't know.
Where he creates this character of Don the Beachcomber, right? And in some ways, he's beholden to that for decades. That was his public persona. And so when he was out anywhere, public facing, he was Don the Beachcomber. But he was pretty well off for most of his life, and he was kind of a jet setter and running these businesses all around the country. He wasn't like walking around the beach and hanging out in a shack most of the time. And as he kind of evolves as a person and eventually lets go of a lot of these things and settles down with this person that he truly loves toward the end of his life, he's already decades past being Don the Beachcomber in any kind of meaningful way. And that's when he becomes an actual like beachcomber figure. For years, Don and Phoebe are living in this houseboat in a lagoon in Tahiti. And, and toward the end of Don's life, he had so many successes over the years, but toward the end of his life, he didn't really have much. He wasn't wealthy at that point. And so it's like he was Don the Beachcomber toward the end, even though it took him 70 years to get there.